Hi.
Would you mind answering some questions about police officer presence in schools?
Sure.
How do you feel about police presence in school?
I see the advantage in it, as in, like, if there were people, like, breaking into the school or people doing obviously not so good things inside the school, it makes sense for them to be there. But when it comes to our school, I don't really think so.
Have you personally had an experience with law enforcement at school?
6 times?
Okay. Do you feel the presence of police is necessary?
Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, but I think our school, it doesn't really need to be necessary because we live right down the road from the police station.
Do you feel safe at school?
Yes.
Do you think the police presence at our school is excessive?
For our school, no.
Do you feel the presence of police is necessary?
Yeah, of course I do. I mean, no one else is allowed to carry a gun in here, so what's gonna happen if Johnny Jihad shows up and starts laying out a whole bunch of people? I mean, what are the students gonna do? Not a whole lot. So cops are the only people that are gonna be able to protect us.
Has police presence ever made you feel uncomfortable?
Yes. Hello, Sarah.
Would you be willing to answer some questions about police presence in schools?
Certainly.
All right. How do you feel about police in schools?
That is such a huge question. So how do I feel? I think that it's great to have somebody there that can help out in a crisis or a time of need. It's great to have just that presence so that students and staff can feel safe, even if they're not being utilized.
Have you personally had an experience with law enforcement at school?
Personally, I have not.
No. Do you feel the presence of police is necessary?
I think it's better to be safe than to have a situation where a police officer is needed and we don't have one.
Has police presence ever made you feel uncomfortable?
No.
Hello, Mr. Miller.
Hi!
Would you be willing to answer some questions about police officer presence in schools?
No, turn the camera off. But of course.
Okay. How do you feel about police presence in schools?
Oh, I think it's a huge necessity in schools. I mean, we have, between the two schools here, we have over 500 students, and many times, obviously, we have an administration to deal with them, but many legal issues show up that sometimes the police are needed. Plus having the security here, obviously with our history, it's kind of been a needed thing.
Yeah. Have you personally had an experience with law enforcement at school?
Other than the events that's taken place, and obviously we've had our school shooting, and the police presence made a big difference. We've had, over the 18 years I've been here, we've had a couple fights and things like that where the police have been needed, but also there's been some serious issues that the police have had to get involved in that I've been dealing with too. But so yes.
Okay. Do you feel the presence of police officers is necessary for our school?
Yeah, I think it's necessary for really any school. I don't think we need to be a police state where we have 20 police officers roaming around and metal detectors and coming in through the doors. But obviously having our SRO and having one officer in the area who is armed in that sense that can protect us from an intrusion or something like that is, I think it's a relief and a need.
Would you be willing to answer some questions about police officer presence in schools?
Of course.
How do you feel about police officers in school?
I think we've been fortunate in that the sheriff's office has provided for us an officer presence in our schools, especially the high school and the middle school, for well over 10 years at their expense, taxpayer expense. And I think it's been a good deterrent for crime here at the school. And I think it's been a good opportunity for students to be able to kind of have a better relationship with our sheriff's office than maybe they would have if we didn't have a presence there.
Okay. Have you personally had an experience with law enforcement at school?
I mean, have I been arrested at school? No. But obviously, when they're here, I deal with them every day and have a very good and professional relationship with them, and I really respect the work they do.
Okay. Do you feel the presence of police officers is necessary?
At all times, no. Do I think it's preferred? Absolutely. I think our preferred method of operation would be to have a police officer in or near the building while kids are here, because I do think it's a deterrent for people to come in with ill intent if they know a police officer's here, and I think it's also, again, a great opportunity for students to relate to those officers in a way that's different than when they pull you over for speeding or whatever.
Okay. Do you feel the presence of law enforcement has made a positive or negative change in the school's environment?
Well, I guess I haven't been here when we haven't had one. So I've been here 18 years, and even when I was a teacher and then an assistant principal, we always had a police officer in or near the building. So I wouldn't know what the difference was other than other places I've been that didn't have it. I only see advantages to it. I don't see any disadvantages to it. I think the sheriff's office may differ on that because they've got manpower needs as well, and they may feel that that person's assignment would be better somewhere else. But as far as the school side of it goes, I don't see any disadvantages.
Do you feel the presence of law enforcement has made a positive or negative change in the school's environment?
Again, I think on a personal note and from my position, I think it's very positive. Again, it gives the opportunity for kids to break down some of those barriers, to build relationships, and I think it gives some kids a peace of mind and a different resource to go and talk to if a student has different issues. Does it have negative effects? For some students, it's very negative because, again, it represents authority, and so we've been told by several students that they don't appreciate the officers being in the building. We respect their opinion by all means, but yeah, we prefer to have one in the building, again, for a variety of reasons.
Okay. Can you think of a time when police officer presence was absolutely needed?
Needed?
Yeah.
Probably not in your high school career. Way back when, it was definitely a necessity due to a couple incidents. However, we've had to call them when we've had some drug activity, when there's some weapons in the building, aka knives, and stuff like that. We're obligated to notify them, basically by state law. For some offenses and for some weapons, we have to legally notify the local law enforcement, and Park County happens to be ours.
Okay.
So.
Is there a time where you felt police presence was unnecessary or even excessive?
I don't think so. Again, as an adult, as an administrator, as a parent, I don't think so. However, please keep in mind, if there's more than one officer, it's not something that we request because we cannot control them. We're not basically their boss, whether it's Corporal Ty or any of the other officers. They are directed to be on campus for whatever reason due to their supervisor. So we have never, I have never, and I don't think Mr. Schmidt has either, has ever called dispatch and said we need officers on our campus now. We haven't done that. We've just asked for assistance, but it's just always for things that basically turn into a legal issue, and therefore we have to contact them.